Murder style, y'all.
Insanity, insanity, whatever happened to humanity? Ooh.
You know, as many times I've watched horror films and reviewed them too, or just experienced them, it's been a minute since I've watched a horror film that, from start to finish, put me into a lane of just questioning myself. What the hell did I just get myself into? I was like that when I watched Men, and I can't even think of anything else. And I think it's because I watched so much horror. But it's been a long time. Oh yeah, Hereditary is another one too. And it was both made by A24. They was both made by A24, but this wasn't made by A24. Longlegs. Let's get on with the review. And I'm going to try not to pause a lot because I'm thinking about everything I got to talk about. So I'm just going to go with the flow and just act like a car that doesn't have brakes to it. I'm just going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And if I stutter, it's because I hit a pothole. But I'm going to keep going and keep going. Longlegs is an American horror thriller film. And man, it is a thriller, all right. That has been directed and produced by Osgood Perkins. In the pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. This movie was a hellish ride. A hellish roller coaster ride. And just like roller coasters, it's not good if it's not thrilling, not making your not making your heart rate increase, not chilling, not building up that ratio of just tension, and above all, it all pays off to the point where you just regret being in that roller coaster. Longlegs is like this. It's a roller coaster with all these elements, all these horror elements. And the thing about Longlegs, right, is the fact that I don't think that by me watching this, people cannot relate to this type of horror when it comes to the relation of other horror films. Maybe when it comes to the cinematography and certain scenes that, that can relate to certain screenshots that we've seen from other films. But when it comes to the horror, when it comes to the tension, when it comes to the pacing, when it comes to the scares, when it comes to the delivery of just how to be attached to certain elements of the horror to begin with, to make it feel like maybe it's relatable, maybe it's not relatable. But if it is relatable, that's when it got you by the nuts. I've watched a lot of horror films that try doing this shit, and they end up fucking up when it comes to adding science fiction to it, adding too much pacing to it, adding too much dialogue to it, adding too much liking chemistry to it, adding too much things to the film to the point where they forget what this film represents. Longlegs is not like that. When it comes to this film, they know what the fuck they're doing. And Osgood Perkins, you knew what you was doing. You knew what you was doing. You knew who to put in this film. You knew how to produce it. You knew how to direct it. You knew how to execute it. You knew how to do the scares. No one that's seen Longlegs is going to tell you that this movie is trash. Now, I know horror is subjective. It's like, what does scare you, right? Are you afraid of clowns? Are you afraid of prison? Are you afraid of falling off the cliff? Are you afraid of bank robberies? Me, personally, I'm afraid of what can happen. The film picks up quickly. Too fast in a way. And what I mean by that is that it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. A film like this that has so much good delivery and what it's known for when it comes to the execution cycle, and again with Osgood Perkins knowing how to execute, by Osgood Perkins knowing his deck of cards, he needs to play these cards correctly when it comes to how is he going to make this film work. All right, I got this. I'm going to execute this, but maybe I should warn these fans what I'm going to have on this film first. And that is what he did in the beginning of the film. In the first 5 minutes of the film, you are literally showing the criminology of how Longlegs is going to portray the whole film itself. When it comes to the horror, the tension, the build up, the scares, the pacing, and the dialogue, the choreography to the film itself. All that is done in 5 fucking minutes. Those 5 minutes felt like 2 hours. With a scare that traumatized my girlfriend to the point where she left the room. I'm sorry, Sabrina. I did not want to say that. You told me not to mention that in the review. It just came out. It just came out. I'm sorry, but I had to mention this because she loves horror. She loves thrilling films. She loves a lot of horror films just like I do. And when we was watching a lot of good horror, it was like a horror movie night. She stood and watched a lot of horror films with me. Even some horror films that really fucked me up even to the day, like Ringu, Ju-on, Pulse, the Japanese Pulse, not that American bullshit, but Japanese Pulse, Tekka Tekka, Morabito. Oh my God, Morabito is my shit. Morabito. I'm talking about Morabito. I might as well show it to you guys. Yes, there we go. You need to watch Morabito. You need to see Morabito. Morabito is a goon. But she stood and seen this. When we was watching Longlegs, the first 5 minutes was enough to take her away from the screen. Just for a short bit. But Osgood Perkins showed those first 5 minutes just to indicate us if we stay along this ride, this is going to be the rest of the film. Pretty soon we are introduced to the characters that is going to carry on to this project and hopefully survive and give us good flying colors to the whole beginning, middle, and ending to the whole project, just for us to come across their conclusions. And I'm at to say the character development was great. Fantastic. There was even points where I really thought that I was in the room with them. Like Maika Monroe. I haven't seen her in a good horror film since It Follows, but It Follows was a bittersweet film. I did not like the way It Follows ended. She grown a lot. She matured a lot. She aged well. But my point is, she did great as a traumatized FBI agent, where she really felt like something was getting to her. Something was really on her mind. Something was really traumatizing her. Maybe it has something to do with her past cases. Maybe her family situational methods. Or maybe just something that was very darker that she just did not want to explain. And they explained this well with the character. And I thought this was just something that was on her mindset that just needed to just come across when it comes to movie pacing of the project. But no. Maika Monroe's characters pacing was actually realistically relatable. Even when it comes to why they explained it, it gave me certain vibes of just what happens when it comes to certain FBI agents going through life in ways where they look like they have been through a lot. And it was actually giving me Wallace Jane vibes, one of my old novels that sold well in the year 2010. Just a detective, an FBI agent who was just solving crime, but he looks as if there's something not right with him, but it's because of his past, his family. And that's how I felt with Maika Monroe's character. And her pacing was done without a doubt. There was even times where when she would solve these cases or where she would just feel traumatically influenced to the point where she would feel uncomfortable, doubt herself, or just doubt the environment around her. She felt more depressed than a lot of people I know, but she still pushed through it because she knew that depression would not help her solve these cases. She had to keep going. She had to keep going through with it. And then above all, she knew that she had lives to save. But I really feel bad for her because in the state that she's in, she couldn't do a lot on her own because of how vulnerable her mental is. And I feel like with horror films, it was like a double-edged sword. Normally when I watch horror films like this and it relies on the main character to be this mentally broken, it makes me hate them because I know they're going to do stupid shit. But with Maika Monroe's character, she balanced herself out to the point where she didn't do nothing stupid. She didn't do nothing outlandish. She didn't do nothing out of question. She did everything by the handbands of the law, especially by the end of the project. And some people may question why she did what she did by the end of the project, but all that goes down to the state of her ability, of her being an FBI agent. It's just as simple as that. And I felt like that was very well paced and very well executed. Osgood done well with her. I have actually nothing bad to say with the pacing at all. Let's talk about Nicolas Cage as Longlegs. I'm going to first say this. I did not even know that was him as Longlegs. They said that he was in the film. They say that he's in the film a lot. But I never seen him. But he is Longlegs. I'm not spoiling the film. It's literally in the trailer. He is Longlegs. If you type down Nicolas Cage in Longlegs, they got that motherfucker holding the picture. What made me know it was him was how he was acting, and he acted as himself. And the thing is, Nicolas Cage always had like this wacky humor that is unquestionably irreplaceable. If Nicolas Cage plays a role of a character, no one is going to do what the fuck he does. Which leads me to this. He done such a good job as Longlegs, and by him playing himself, sadistic, crazy, breaks the fourth wall, just talks to himself. There was even a scene where he was just yelling in the fucking car, and it just gave me so much uncomfortable chills. And I'm like, this is Nicolas Cage. Why am I feeling frightened? He always does this because we know the intention of this film of what he's portraying. Why has no one ever thought about making him like this in other films? I feel like this is Nicolas Cage at one of his best performances. I feel like when you do a role and you're trying to find a certain role that fits your probability, like Jason Bateman, Denzel Washington, Samuel Jackson, Robert Downey Jr., what's that guy's name? He was on Oppenheimer. He was on 28 Days Later. Cillian Murphy. These motherfuckers play as themselves. And they do a damn good job. Nicolas Cage played as himself on here, and he really felt crazy, sadistic, a fucking killer. And he was just playing as him fucking self. No one has ever thought about making him a killer until now. Another good praise for Osgood Perkins. This was a mind-blowing experience for him. And just the way he executed Longlegs made me have problems sleeping at night. I'm just going to go out and say it. Just the way how they made certain elements of him portray the role of Longlegs, just the way how he would look at the camera, just the way how he would just say certain things when it comes to him making the characters feel uncomfortable. It will make you feel uncomfortable. Even when he would just have a normal conversation, you'd be like, what the fuck is this dude's problem? You knew something was not right. Even when they would normally play certain scenes where they have certain elements of tension music building up, there'll be times where he would just sit and just talk or just look at the screen and there'll be nothing but pure silence. And I think that's even scarier than a tension build up. When we get enough pacing with the characters and the project itself, it begins to progress slowly when it comes to us understanding more of the terminology of the film. And I will say this, though, that the film has done well when it comes to the choreography of just certain films that you can probably relate to when it comes to the screenplay, like Silence of the Lambs. Evil Things, which I really do love. It's a very good low-budget indie film and one of my favorite indie horror films of all time too, Claustrophobia. Getting half into the project, this is when they begin to show us certain elemental scares that I've mentioned before in the headline. This film you're going to have to buckle up for and be prepared to, because when it comes to the scares of this film, they have everything here. They have jump scares, they have tension scares, they have scares when it comes to you feeling uncomfortable, claustrophobia. They even have scares where it's just pitch quiet and it's just you looking at the screen and you're just trying to pick off of what's not right. They have all this here, and then what I like about this film is the fact that even when there's a little bit downtime and you're trying to get more familiarized with the story, if you're thinking that it's beginning to pace too much, that's when they get you off guard with another scare. And by the middle of the film, they done that. And my girlfriend ran away again. But that scene was actually, I can relate to that scene because that scene caught me off guard too. And I feel like when it comes to films like this, you cannot focus on one scare and just have that as a main dish. You need to have a list of scares that can match the production cycle of a project and see which one can fit properly so it can execute tremendously well. There was not one scare here that I feel like it was unnecessary. Even the ending was great with a leveling twist that was very unpredictable. Right when I was beginning to understand the film and beginning to put the pieces together, I was still confused on certain aspects of Maika Monroe's character finding clues with her partner and just trying to get things situated. But when they revealed this twist of why things were the way they was, everything made sense. And I feel like a film like Longlegs is not a film that you should be watching over and over and over and over and over again so you can get all the pieces together. The film actually holds you by the hand in a way to explain itself. They even have a cutscene when they literally talk about why things the way they are. So if people watch this film and they don't get it, it's probably because they was interrupted too much or they just don't understand horror psychological thrillers to begin with when it comes to the pacing of demonic possession. Which I get it. I understand. By you not understanding demonic possession films, it's kind of hard for it to levitate in your mind, especially if you don't believe in that stuff exists. It's like looking at a Greek mythology movie or playing a Greek mythology game and you have never read the Bible your entire damn life. Overall, this movie was amazing. Great. Fantastic. I own the digital of this movie. And I'm going to buy the box. But I don't know how long I can wait. Because we're in an era now where digital media is coming out months and months and months before the physical. I'm sorry I have to pause. I'm sorry I have to pause right there. I promise I wouldn't do that. But other than that, this movie was great. I enjoyed it a lot. I encourage all you guys to watch Longlegs. You would not be sorry. I'm gonna have to give Longlegs a legendary rating in A+. I did spend too much time on this review, but that's because I was so hyped up. But other than that, that's all I have to say for today. Please stay tuned for my upcoming reviews and videos headed your way. This is Hugo, your critic teacher. And I hope you all have a damn good day.